Guys, I'm here with another video from round 1 of the ARC's launch tournament. This was sent to me by the Red Player Harsh. He streamed this on his Twitch, and I'll have a link to that below. And he did a great job giving commentary as he's playing, but we're just going to look at this just from a third-party perspective and just see what's going on in this game. And I think there's a lot of things we can learn here as far as what do you do when a player goes to a big lead, or what do you do when someone spreads out. So here we see the white player is starting with the 2 mobilization card, declaring Tycoon, and are deciding now whether to influence 4 times or move some and influence. There's always a risk when you lead with an influence action that other players can swoop in and contest you, or try to beat you on whatever card you're going for. The 4 cards we have in the court right now, Gatekeepers, Loyal Keepers, Loyal Empath, and Skirmishers. Of these, I would definitely say the 2 Loyal cards, Loyal Empath, Loyal Keepers, are the best. Gatekeepers can be strong too, but in the beginning, you really want a 3 key card like the Loyal cards, just because they're hard to take away. And so we see a spread out strategy from white, where he's spread out 4 agents on 3 cards. This is going to be very easy for the other players to play a mobilization card, surpass, and then take whatever card they want. So now it's yellow's turn, and so they can easily surpass here. They play the 4, so they have 3 influence actions, and so they could take Gatekeepers, they could take Loyal Keepers, or they could go for something else. They could also move instead. With the setup with 4 players, you have a gate that you can move into the empty planet, or you can move from your starport and go to one of your nearby planets. And so we see that they're influencing twice and moving once, it seems. And this is a great place. And now they have a material planet. They can tax material or build another starport. And so they're basically taking some territory. Now that gate's open for white to catapult movement now, though. Now we see blue is playing the 6, and they're going to just influence twice or move once and influence once. So they could put someone on Loyal Empath, which I would argue is probably the strongest card here. And so they're going to put one person on Gatekeepers. I think that's a mistake. If the aggression card is played next round, then white can just secure it. And now red here is deciding whether to play the 3 and influence 3 times, and then also whether they should seize. So if they play the 3 and then seize, they can play their 2 and secure. And so they discard a card to seize the initiative, so they're going first next round. And so now they can influence 3 times, and so they're going to get Loyal Empath with just 1 agent, and then they're going to take Loyal Keepers as well. So here they're doing just that. They're going to secure twice. They're going to capture one of the white agents. And now they have 2 very strong cards. So with these 2 cards, they can use any resource as a relic, and also any resource as a psionic. So going forward, if they have 2 resources, they can take any court card with just 2 resources if there's no agents on already. Alright, and then they did a movement as well. And so now we see white taking the Gatekeepers card, capturing that agent. We see Court Enforcers, we see Populous Demands, which lets you declare an extra ambition when you secure it, and then Prison Wardens. Prison Wardens is quite a fascinating card. Unfortunately, most of the times I've played with it, people just discard it to get 3 ships where you have control. But if you have a lot of captives, it can really help you in just moving that Tyrant Ambition, if it's never declared, to something that's more useful. Alright, so we have the 3 played, and we see some movement going on, and we see Skirmishers as secured. Skirmishers can also be discarded for 3 ships, but lets you re-roll your skirmish dice, which are just a 50-50 chance to hit. Elder Broker is another strong card. Now we see another Seize. Elder Broker is useful in that it lets you tax a city multiple times, but instead of taxing, what you're in essence doing is trading with the other player. And so you can do that with the opponent multiple times if you meet the requirement of not giving them a resource they already have. And so that can be tricky to do, but what lets you do in essence is basically trade with a player, which can be very nice. All right, so we see an attack going on here. And in general, raid die or assault dice are pretty strong, and skirmish dice are pretty weak. And so here we see that they rolled 2 and they did 3 hits and 1 self-hit. And that's probably above average for assault dice. You expect probably 2 hits. All right, so now they're working out the initiative, doing cleanup. If you're watching this and wondering why they're doing the discard pile that way, that's mostly just because they're wanting just to make the discard pile visible. Since this is a tournament game, it's competitive. It's just easier to count cards this way, just by having the discard pile face up, and then the discard cards just in a separate discard pile. We see the 1 played, so you can't declare with a 1, but now they're putting a lot of agents out. So they're going for populous demands, perhaps to get another ambition declared. And then they're going for court enforcers as well. Court enforcers, for the blue player, they really need a weapons planet if they're going for that. And they don't have one right now, but they're in a weapon system where they can build a city. But otherwise, I don't think that card probably is the best to go for them. Okay, so we see an interesting play. So they're going to spend a weapons. And they're just going to move and build. So what they're doing is they're spending their weapons as a psionic to copy the mobilization action. And this is why psionics are so strong, is that it's a pseudo-wild. So even though the weapons normally is just changing your action to battle, and now can just be a movement, or it could have been an influence in this case. Alright, so now we see the 5 surpassed are going to use material to build a city, which is great. Great use of material. A lot of people view material as a very weak resource. But this is a case where material is very useful. So it's the beginning of the game, you spread out a little bit, now you can build another city. And so now they're debating where they're going to influence. So they have influenced Elder Broker, and I think that's the right call. Elder Broker can be discarded for 3 resources, which is often very, very useful. It's also important to note here that the psionic cities, there's only 2, and they're both covered with a starport. This is going to make psionic a very rare and valuable icon for the guild cards, because most likely none of that is going to be taxed. Okay, so now we see the 7 played, and they're going to spin the psionic, so they can influence, and then they're going to spin a relic, and yes they do, they spin the relic, and they're going to secure that card as well. So now they have 2 icons for weapons, and so if they do get court enforcers, which is probably not likely at this point, that'll be a very strong card for them. Mining interest. Mining interest can be very strong, lets you get more material just through building, and then you can discard it to steal, which is a very strong action, but you just started to steal all the material and fill up your slots. Alright, so right here we can see that white has 2 cities out and just 1 starport. Yellow just has their 2 initial buildings, and same for the other players. And so we see now yellow is leading with a 5. Now they're building another starport, and they're going to build a ship. And this is a good question. There isn't often not a right answer. What do you do first? Do you do a city first? Do you do a starport first? In general, you want to do one than the other one. So if you did a city, you want to do a starport. If you do a starport, you do generally want to do a city next. So here we see red is going to tax a fuel. And that's great for them because that fuel could be used just to move, or could be used as a relic, or could be used as a psionic. We see the 7 play to seize. And so we're going to see, are they going to build? Yeah, they're going to build a starport. So white is doing great here. The only downside for them is that they don't have starports on the north part. They only have them on the south side of the map. So perhaps instead of building that starport down there, they should have built that starport on the material planet up north just to help with those two cities and protect them. But I think they're doing the right thing here. All right, so we're going to see tax. So now they can tax 2 times and influence once. So we see material taken, we see a fuel taken, and then they can repair if they had something damaged. But now they can decide if they want to influence against. They can influence Elder Broker, which is, again, that probably makes the most sense. They could contest populist demands if they don't want blue to get that, but or material interest, which probably is worth considering as well. All right, so now yellow is just going to copy, and they're going to tax just a relic. All right, now we got, okay, so now we have a influence with the psionic, and then now they can secure with their pivot aggression card. And so now they can do populist demands. So they're going to tax, and then they're going to secure court enforcers. Court enforcers is a strong ability of going for tyrant, but it really needs to have a way to tax weapons just so that it can be online. All right, so now we see a copy from red, and then they can spend a resource. They're just going to tax and get a fuel. Okay, so I would say right now, red is doing well in the court. They have 2 of the strongest cards so far. They have 1 agent captured. We see the 1 construction played. White is doing fantastic here. The only thing I would say is they probably should have done a starport instead up there, instead of that city. I know they were going for the bonus. I just am concerned that by putting 3 cities just right up there, someone else can build a starport nearby, and then just completely rule those cities, and then just tax them into oblivion. But we'll see. But this is one way you can get a lot of points, is that if they win Tycoon, instead of getting 5 points, they're going to get 7. If they do another city, they're going to get 10 points. All right, so they scored there. There was a tie. And so then scoring just ended up being just for Tycoon. And so we got 7 points for white. And then we just had 2 or 3 points for red. All right, so now we see Tycoon declared again. And then now they can build more ships. And this is another reason why I think they went for 2 points last round, but if they had just waited, they could have gotten more ships up north where they honestly need to be. Now they got their last city out. Okay, so they got their last city out, and now they're going to get 10 points if they win Tycoon. All right, so now we see the 6 surpass. We see a couple of ships built. And now we see the 5 played. And we're going at red's hand right now, and red only has the 1 construction card. And so we'll have to see if they're going to use it now to get the full 3 actions, or are they going to copy instead so they can save the construction action for later. Yeah, they're just going to use it now. And so they're going to see, okay, they can use fuel to move first. If they're going to build a ship, or they're going to build a starport. Yeah, they're going to build a starport to protect that city, and now they have that. So if you have a 2-slot planet, there's not always the case, but a lot of times you should just do 1 starport and 1 city. White went for the 2-city strategy, and so my question is just, how are they going to defend it? How are they going to get ships up to that cluster 1? And that's just going to be a question we're going to have to see if they can get an answer for it, because if they can answer that question, they're probably going to win. They're going to just get more points than anyone else. It's very soft, and that's my question. All right, so they're waiting with the 6. So they can secure Elder Broker, which I would probably do. Looks like it's actually yellow's turn. So they're going to move, and now they're going to attack white. And so they're going to go for skirmish dice, so they can re-roll these. Just the blue ones, but they're going to roll 3 red and 2 blue. And they could re-roll the blue, but I think they're just going to keep it, yeah. So Arcs is a very complex game, and sometimes it's easy to forget some of the abilities you have from your guild cards. And so just a good reminder that they could have re-rolled that blue die from their card. All right, now we see blue, and they're just going to copy, and so they're just going to attack red in that system. And so they rolled, they got 2 hits, and they did 1 self-hit. And sometimes this is what you should do. You should just use a copy action just to play defense. And so if someone is attacking you in your place, you should just use your card that you don't care about just to do 1 action just to retaliate. All right, so now we see it's white's turn. Red has 4 resources, so they could use those all 4 to influence, and then secure with just those resources right there with their 2 guild card combo. So white here needs to decide, are they going to surpass with a 7 if they have it, or are they just going to copy? This is one advantage just to playing a high card like a 6 or a 5 and not declaring, is it just forces everyone else just to play a card they may not want to or take less actions on it. And so they're going to secure Elder Broker, which I think is the right decision there. Outrage Spreads. This is a brutal card. This is a Vox card that when you secure it, you choose 1 type of resource and provoke outrage for it. So that means everyone discards the guild cards that they have. Everyone discards the resources that they have of that type, including you. Here we see the 4 played. They've just played the 6, now they're playing the 4. Now they're going to raid yellow. And so they roll great skirmish dice, and they roll very poor raid dice. So they're just going to hit themselves twice and destroy the starport. It's not what you want to see. You want to hopefully get at least 1 key. If they have 1 key, they could have taken a resource on the 1 slot. 2 keys was possible, but perhaps not likely. So they're going to take some trophies and call it a day there. White is not happy with that, but now they have 1 less liability they need to worry about. They do have 1 less starport, though. Secret Order. It's a great card. If you are going for Keeper or Empath, and as we noted, there's not anywhere right now you can tax Psionic. Okay, so we see blue sees the initiative here. They're going to copy. They're just going to hit populist demands. And so now they get just to declare and they're going to do Keeper. That makes sense. They have 1 relic. They can tax more relics. Red has a guild card that is a relic already. So we'll see what the strategy is to get and win relic for blue. So you see the 5 surpass. We already saw the 6 played, and so it's very unlikely that white has the 7. It's possible, and since it's already seized, the 7 won't do anything. So we're going to move in to white there. So the city is just right there. They're just going to damage the city with just the skirmish dice. Okay, so they're just rolling that, so they just destroy the city. Now that city's undefended, they can tax it, they could raid it, and white is really out of position, although down in that bottom weapons point, they could build a ship and then catapult to protect. We see the 7, so they're going to build, they're going to discard Elder Broker and get fuel, get a material, and get a weapons. So they're going hard for Tycoon. They have 5 at the moment for Tycoon, and I think red is the only one contending for second with 2. So they're a great spot for Tycoon. Alright, so initiative's going to blue here. And blue declared Keeper. We'll see if they declare it again, or they They're just going to play it to not declare. And so now they can tax. So they should tax their relic for sure. They can tax fuel as well, but fuel is all empty now. So they're going to influence twice. Then they taxed relic, and I think they repaired a ship. So now red is going to surpass with the 4. And this is where, what do you do here? There's 3 open cards. So they're going to spend 2 resources to do Psionic and then a relic to secure a card. I believe they go for the outrage spreads here. And they're just going to hurt relic, which is pretty brutal because that's what blue was declaring. Blue is going for that. Now people cannot spend their relics to secure, but loyal keepers lets you do that. And so he's going to keep his loyal keeper card. And so he's making everyone discard their relics. And so white didn't have any relics, so white's fine, but for yellow and for blue, this is pretty brutal. And again, this is why the loyal cards, loyal keepers, loyal empath, loyal pilots, those cards are so strong. So outrage has spread, and then red can do this again. They can discard their 2 resources that they still have and do this one more time. So I think that they end up deciding to go for call to action. They don't do it for that one. They go for secret order. Call to action gets you another action card. At this point, because there's only 2 cards left, I don't think it's best to go for it. I think it's best to go for it when you have a full hand. You can plan out your turns better. If you get a bad card from this Vox card, it's okay because you can use it for something else. So that's what they go for. So they could have gone for that. They could have tried to get a lucky card to help them with Tycoon, but white has Tycoon well in hand. So now they're deciding what to do. So they're going to tax a fuel, weapons, and another fuel. And because they're ruling and controlling the fuel planet and cluster 1, they get an agent from white. Now white is going to play the 7, seize, and they're going to spend a material. And I think they're just going to tax as well. They built another ship down below. So white went for gatekeepers. Has not been used so far at all. This is one reason. Perhaps it's because people are afraid to fight white in the gates, but I really think white just needs to spend it just to get more ships in those gates, and then they can just limit the movement of everyone else because they're spread out. They are the ones who has the cities everywhere, and they need to prevent people from rushing into their cities and tax them or raid them. So white's taxing again. They're going to take material, and they can take another material possibly. So they decide that instead they get influence. They probably should do fuel cartel, or they could do call to action too. Yeah, I think if I'm white, I do call to action. They're contesting Galactic Bards. I would do call to action or fuel cartel. Yeah, okay, they do decide fuel cartel. That's the right decision, I think. Fuel cartel, if you have it, after you score Tycoon, which is going to happen, all the fuel from your rivals, the other players, goes to that card, and the supply is just put on that card. I think that is going to be bad news bears for everyone else once this chapter ends. They can then discard it to steal fuel. And I think that's what you got to do. If you have a strong position in this Tycoon ambition, you can keep it for a little bit, but when you feel that other people are going to threaten you to take it away, you just have to discard it just to take that one-time benefit. All right, so we see now the one aggression card played. And yeah, white is securing that card. They feel great about Tycoon. They have all their cities out. They're going to get 10 points. So they would go up to 17 points here, just from winning 2 ambitions. Keeper is declared right now. Red is winning that just because they have the 1 guild card. Blues is going hard to get Galactic Bards. And so they would love to take that if possible. And so you see white is now moving ships in to defend their city. And if they had a starport there, I think this would be a different story. But now they have all their cities out. So that's the trade-off, is that they don't have a starport there, but now they have all their city bonuses online. All right, so you pivot to build a city for yellow. Now they can try to compete for Tycoon. Red just has this last card left. They can copy, and so they can take this last card. So this is interesting. So they're going to take this last card, and what they got is the 5 mobilization. They were having a glitch with this card for some reason. But they can declare Keeper because it's the 5. And so now Keeper is going to be 7 points. They're using a Psionic. Or the weapons as a Psionic, or as a relic, sorry. To secure that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on because they already secured it. So they're using the weapons to battle once. And so they just did 1 damage. They damaged the white ship. Or I guess they didn't. Okay, so they did two attacks with the 5 since there was 2 pips on the 5. So they did just 2 hits, or 1 hit out of the 2 dice, and then they did it, and then they did 3 hits. Alright, so now they're scoring here. So again, it was only 1 ambition for white, but they got 10 points for it. They're at 17 points. They need 27. So now red is doing pretty well here. In the board position, they're just behind on points. And so as they're flipping these resources, so 6 now is the total points, but now red gets to start. So red should declare, definitely lead with the 6 and declare. They don't have to put the token on it. Yeah, so they're putting the 6 administration down. They have secret order, so they don't have to put the 0 marker. So now empath can't be taxed. They have 2 icons for it from their guild cards. Guild struggle is now in the court though, and that can let someone else steal one of red's powerful cards. I think what happens in this game is that because white is winning, and because white has all their cities out, and because fuel cartel is on the table, people just zero in on that. This is a good time to talk about Tycoon and why it can be a really hard ambition to go for, especially when you're doing white strategy of going very wide on your cities and doing all your cities. It can be really tough because instead of 5 resources like Keeper or Empath, there's 10. Instead of 5 guild cards, there's 10 because fuel and material count for Tycoon. And so right now, white's just going for fuel and some material resources, and that's fine. But he's a big target now. So see, yellow is taxing. And so what I would do if I was white here is on my next turn, I'm just going to discard fuel cartel and take that fuel from yellow. And now the fuel cartel card isn't a thing, and I stole a resource from someone who's competing with me in Tycoon. Song of Freedom is a pretty strong card. It is a little complex. So right now, we see white's fuel city in cluster 1. Red rules that. So if red were to secure Song of Freedom, they could replace white's city with a city of their own. If they do so, they get to seize the initiative. So that would be one way to stop white from getting 5 extra points for winning an ambition. Here we see the 1 played. We're going to see if red seizes here. They do not. So this is a great chance because nothing's been declared for white to seize and declare. So they're 10 points away from winning. They're going for a Tycoon. What they need to do here is if they secure or seize the initiative, what they can do is play a card that lets them to do Tycoon. So they should discard an extra card right here. Yeah, so it's still red's. It's red's turn still. So white should seize right here, and so they're taking Song of Freedom right here. They're gonna seize instead. So white unfortunately cannot seize. So they probably would have seized here if they could have, but because of Song of Freedom they can't. This is going to allow red to declare another ambition. I guess the previous round, when Empath was declared, they should have seized, because now they can't because red seized initiative through Song of Freedom. Song of Freedom does not replace a city, it actually just leaves it empty, so now red can place a city if he wishes or starport in the future. Okay, so now red sees, now they get to lead. So they're declaring Warlord now. And if you look, white has no trophies in their trophies box in the top there. So now we have two ambitions that white has no stake in. They have no opportunity to win Empath at the moment, and they are very behind on Warlord. So now white's going to seize. They've had enough. They think they can win Tycoon. But if they do, they have to go second something else if they want to win the game. Most of the games so far in the tournament have gone to Chapter 4 or Chapter 5. We're in Chapter 3. And white has a strong possibility of winning this game. But because they waited one turn to seize and then someone else seized the next hand, now it's hand 4 and they're seizing, and they're going to get the ambition declared. It's probably going to be Tycoon, but it's just not going to be enough. Additionally, yellow has a strong plan to get Tycoon as well, and so white has to get rid of Fuel Cartel. They have to discard that because it's going to be a liability. Yellow can easily go in and raid white on a couple of different places. And so this is, I think, a good learning of what to do when someone is going wide, like white. You, as a player, can go after them, or you can just talk to the table and see what everyone else can do. So if you notice, red is just declaring ambitions that white can't go for. Yellow is competing in the ambition that white is built on. And blue is doing their own thing. And so this is sometimes a problem when you build a wide strategy for cities, is that you just become the focus of everyone else. So even though red has a great combo and has since the beginning of the game, basically, no one's paying any attention to red. And red's in second place. All right, so we see ambition declared for Tycoon. Right now, they're winning. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So they have 8 icons, and yellow just has 3. However, I still would have just discarded Fuel Cartel just so it's not a liability. All right, so now see yellow is building up more ships. Those ships are going to go straight into white and raid that weapons planet, or they could just catapult movement somewhere else, like the material planet with the 2 cities in cluster 1. So I think yellow is doing a good job of stopping white, but my question would be, what are they doing to try to win? And so right now they're moving. By spinning a fuel, they're going to move. And the question is, do they move up to the material planet up top, or do they move just to the fuel, the weapons planet just nearby? We see Galactic Bards. Galactic Bards is a pretty strong card. But the issue is it just has one key. It can be such a huge liability because it's a relic icon and it's just one key. It's very easy to be taken away from you. Alright, so they're going to move a ship over there and they're going to build another city. So now they can tax fuel even more. And this is very fascinating that we have two cities next to each other with just one ship each by both players. White could just go in there and start taxing it themselves and take agents. But the issue is White is so spread out, they don't necessarily want to do that. They just want to protect their own stuff because they're already winning Tycoon. So perhaps Red could do that. And we see a lot of more building from Blue and repairing. Alright, so we see a copy action from Red. Are they going to build a city? Yeah, they are going to build another city. So now they have two cities on a weapons planet. Weapons are a complex resource. They're the one resource that is kind of strange compared to the other resource. So it doesn't give you an extra action. It just changes your current turn's actions, but only the actions on your card. However, it's still quite powerful. And having weapons late game when you only have mobilization or construction cards where you can move or build and attack is very strong. Okay, so we see attacks. Again, I absolutely would have discarded Fuel Cartel. Yellow has no business going after Tycoon. Like, White has worked so hard. White has all their cities out. And Yellow is just trying to tie somehow. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 still. But now, Yellow has 4. And if they take Fuel Cartel away, then I believe it will be tied. And so see here, we see this. Blue is taking Guild Struggle. They're capturing Red's agents. And so Red rightly was contesting it, but we see now Fuel Cartel is taken away. And Blue here is doing Yellow a huge favor, and the table a huge favor. If anything else, they should have taken one of the Empath cards, notably Loyal Empath. That's the card I probably would have taken here. Yellow and Blue have no points. Red's in second place. That would tie Empath and let the table continue to harass White and deal with Tycoon. Other players have cards to deal with it. And so instead they end up taking Fuel Cartel. And I don't know exactly why they did that. Again, White's scary. White's threatening a lot, but White's not threatening to win. White is not winning Warlord. White is not winning Empath. They're not in second for either of those. So even if White did win Tycoon, they would still be behind. Okay. So White just lost Fuel Cartel, which is one reason to discard it, so people can't take it away from you. They're playing an aggression card. Looking at skirmish dice here. They're going to attack Blue there, try to get Blue out of there, and they get blanks. That's pretty rough. The risk of rolling one assault dice is that there's a 1/6 chance you get an intercept, which would have done 2 damage. That probably was worth it, but yeah, it's pretty tough when you get all blanks. Alright, so they're going to do material interest. So now they have material. Now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Tycoon, for Yellow, and so I think they're either winning or tying Tycoon now for White. And that's pretty tough. Again, another reason why Blue did not need to go for Fuel Cartel. Blue should have gone for an Empath card from Red. Alright, so you see Red's last card, they're just going to copy. They can use their fuel, so they can move first. They're going to move, and they're going to build another city. Okay. All right, so now they're cleaning up. There are no more cards, and so they're looking at the scores here. And you can see that blue is still at 0 points. Yellow ends up winning Tycoon. And they get Warlord points as well. And so white is going to go up some points as well. But it's just for second. And so with city bonuses, they only apply if you win. And so yellow is doing really well. Red gets Empath, which is worth 6 points. And they get 2 bonus points. So they're going to get 8 points for red. So they're at 18, white's at 19, blue's at 0. So I think red is in a great position here. It's now going to be chapter 4. This is the last chapter of this match. And so we see a ton of points on the board. We see 3 players have some form of city bonus. White has a great chance to still win. They just have to make sure that the ambitions declared are something that they can win. So you see Silver Tongues is secured. Silver Tongues is a great card late game because you can steal anything. Here I think they were going to use it immediately, but then they realized that they're not allowed to. They have to wait a turn. But yeah, you can see exactly where his mind's at. He wants to take Fuel Cartel. And so what blue should do here is just discard Fuel Cartel. We see Call to Action is back out. Call to Action is a great card at the beginning, giving you another action. So they roll, they do 1 damage to that blue ship. And blue is going to secure Arms Union. Arms Union is great. The only concern I have is that since aggression is the lead suit, everyone plays aggression, that's 4 cards out. There's only 3 left in the deck. And we can see from Red's hand that he has 2 of them, so there will be a chance for blue to get another aggression card here. That's one thing to keep in mind is if you feel it's the last round and you get a union card, you may not see that suit just because they've already been played, or people play them face down. Mass Uprising, another good Vox card. At this point, I'm not exactly sure who should go for it just because it's just going to be 1 cluster. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who should be going for that Vox card. Loyal Pilots is another decent card. Alright, so we see a pivot to Influencer Tax here from red, and they're taxing a fuel. It's a bold choice because blue knows that Silver Tongues is going to be used. And so if it is taken, it can be discarded, but alright, so now we see the 7 C's from white. Yeah, I'm curious what ambitions are going to be declared because we went through this hand and Tyrant was not declared. Tyrant, that's the captive's ambition. It's the most unique in that you can only get it by taxing other players or by getting their agents from court cards, and those agents can't be taken away from you. They can't be stolen. They can't be manipulated. There's those few guild cards that let you convert them or cash them in, so to speak. But other players can't mess with them. Same thing with trophies. And so if you're competing against players who have all their bonuses out, one way to try to stop them and see we see Warlord declared is by doing Tyrant or Warlord, where those players can't do any shenanigans, is either by taxing other cities or by fighting a bunch of ships. Alright, so we see Warlord declared, and we're going to see mass uprising, I think. Here, I think white just has to not worry about their ships. I know they don't have a lot on the board. They just need an extra card. They need to have the last say in this round if they want to win. They just need to have that as a last action. We see now Silver Tongue's taking Tycoon. I don't think that's the right call. I think you gotta wait. Tycoon may not be declared this round. There's no reason to think that white will declare it because he was denied it last time. Why would white go for it again? So there's a real chance that Tycoon doesn't matter. And so I think, okay, he does do some influence on Loyal Marines and Call to Action. Loyal Marines is the weapons version of Loyal Keepers, Loyal Empath, and Loyal Keeper. One thing I'll note with Loyal Marines is the one oil card you can discard, and you get 3 ships for it. And so sometimes that's actually what you need to do, even though oil cards are great and you get to use any resource as a weapon. Sometimes you just have one last fight, and so you need to get rid of that card just to do that. Make sure you have 3 ships for that last fight. But here, I think that's not the right call. The right call is to go for Call to Action. You need that last action card. You see blue contesting it. Red here is deciding what to do, so they're going to pivot, and they're going to spend 2 agents, and they're actually going to secure it, which is just brutal for these other players because they saw it that it was a valuable card, and they could have put more agents on it, but because of the combo that Reds had the whole game, that could have been manipulated with Silver Tongues or could have been manipulated with Guild Struggle. They let him have it, and now he's using it to get 1 extra card. And if we had to guess, Red's probably going to use that to win the game. Okay, so now we see Keeper declared again. This is another great strategy from blue. If you have your opponents and they're going for bonuses from their cities, you can limit the number of ambitions declared by just declaring the same ambition, and the bonuses only trigger once. So now Keeper is going to be worth 10 points. And then Warlord's going to be worth 9 points, and that's it. Now, we have some bonuses going on, so it's going to be a little bit more for red or white. But Warlord is only 9, and Keeper is going to be worth 10. So if we have a look at the court, there are no relic cards. So the only option would be Galactic Bards, which is 1 key, and Loyal Keepers, which is 3 keys. So I think blue maybe gotten a little ahead of themselves and did this declare, but I don't know if that was the best in this specific situation for blue to win, but it is hurting white. White is now in a bind because white is the winner of the game so far and scored, but they have 1 trophy, and they have 0 relics. Blue has 2 relics. Red has 1 relic. We see no trophies so far from the other players. So as it stands, white is winning, but they need more trophies. They need more people to fight them. And so we see mining interests, and we see all these skill cards, and we see red's going to do an aggression card. So blue's happy to see this. So blue can now use their Arms Union card to take another aggression card. We're going to now see the trophy game going on. So now they get very lucky if they're going for trophies, but they have another action. So that's why they did just a 2 skirmish dice. You normally expect about 1 hit. With 2 assault dice, you should honestly expect 2 hits. And they get 3. And 1 self-hit. So they give no trophies to blue and get 2 trophies from blue. So that's a big win. Now they're winning Warlord. White now has a weapon card, a weapon resource. And so if they they can use that to do more fights, but they need to fight. So they're probably just going to fight blue here. Okay, so we see red still has those go cards. They're planning out their last few actions here. What has to happen here is red needs to win Warlord, get more trophies. They can tax a weapon, and they can use their mobilization to move as well. White has a weapon in hand, but we just don't know what cards they have. If they can't win the initiative and play a high action card, or play a low action card with initiative with a lot of action pips, then the weapon's not going to do much for them. Now we see yellow moving in, and they wipe out White's fleet, and then they are doing so many hits to actually damage the city with a leftover ship hit. And so this is what can happen if you go wide with your cities and don't build enough starports. Players can wait till the very end when Warlord is declared for 9 points, like so, and take you out, and now you can't really respond. I mean, it's going to be really tough for White to come back here. We see blue seizing the initiative now. They're gaining an aggression card. I don't know why blue is seizing here. I guess they do not want red to start with initiative again, which is fair. They're gaining a card through their union card, and so they're not going to be down, but having one extra card is going to be very useful, especially if that is an aggression card. And I think what ultimately blue wants to do is they want to lead with this aggression card. So they're going to lead with it right here. And so now they can fight. And so they secure this material card. But Tycoon's not declared, so at the end of the day, this card's not going to matter too much. So they have material cartel, but all the material is taxed, and then they can discard it to steal material, but that's not going to do anything with ambitions. So now they're deciding whether to move and fight somewhere, and I think honestly they probably should have moved and did 2 fights, but let's see what they do. So they're not going to move, they're just going to do 2 fights, probably here, maybe raid. But there's nothing to raid, because it's keeper. They have to raid red to get the other keeper card, and they need 3 keys. They roll down there, just 1 hit, not great, and they can do another attack. So now they're going to raid, and they get no keys. So they provoke fuel outrage, which isn't a big deal for them. So they get a trophy out of this, but they can't take anything because they got 0 keys. On 3 raid dice, you probably should have expected at least 1, maybe probably 2 keys perhaps. It's a little less than 50% to get 2 keys there. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Alright. Oh, it's red's turn, and we can see why red did the attack in gate 6. Blue could have catapult movement into there, but they didn't. What they should have done, instead of securing, if I was blue, I would have moved ships into that fuel planet in gate or cluster 1, where red just has 1 ship, very vulnerable to raid, and if you can roll 3 raid dice, it's less than 50%, but it's close to 50% to get 2 keys. And then if you have 2 times to do it, then, even better. Alright, so you see a big skirmish attack here. We're going into the final round for some people. Remember that red got an extra card here. So this is blue's final card. They're just going to do construction card, and they can only build things. So they're going to build a city, which is alright, but they don't get the bonus, and they're not winning any ambitions, except for keeper, which again is 10 points, but if we recall, Galactic Bards only has 1 key, and so they have to keep that, and so we'll see what they can do. So red is going to move in, so they can catapult movement from that fuel planet up there, And they're going to move in, and yep, they're moving into blue because blue has the lead in Keeper. If they can take that away, they're going to win that mission. And as things stand, red honestly doesn't need to do that. If red just gets Warlord, they're going to get 11 points, and that would give them the win as well. But this is just a good example of how you can burst at the very end. So red is now spinning their last card. It's the last card of the game. They're using their weapon card, and then they have 2 fights. And so there's nothing blue can do here. Blue should have perhaps tried to take away red's little keeper's card, or the other players could have tried to stop red too. But here now red is going for Keeper and for Warlord. Yellow is winning Warlord at the moment, but here this is where the weapons comes into play. They're going to get 2 attacks. They're going to do a raid first. They get 2 keys. They only needed 1, and so they're taking that, and they do have intercept and 2 self hits. So they're actually taking 4 damage. And so they're going to then damage, or take the starport actually. And then they get to do 1 more hit. And so they're going to do assault dice with 4 hits. Worst case scenario is they wipe their fleet. But that's okay, because blue only has the 1 trophy so far. So they actually do end up doing 3 hits to their own ships. So now blue has 4 ships. But because of their own damage to blue, they're going to come out ahead at the very end. And so they're going to have 5 trophies. So 5 trophies is enough to win Warlord. 2 relics is enough to win Keeper. And that's the game here. So very fascinating to see how it started with red getting great guild cards and white getting great board position spreading out. But they weren't able to maintain that with their ship production. And so yellow was able to mass a huge fleet and was able to capitalize on certain things. But at the very end, that combo was able to pay off and was able to get red 1 extra turn needed to win the game. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you enjoyed this, give a like, give a comment if you saw some mistakes or some feedback. I'd appreciate it.